Okay, so GPT-4o or Omni is here, but why should you care? And what can you do with it? As always, let's not waste time and let's get into it. Well, first off, they had me at cheaper. It is OpenAI's most affordable flagship model that does not compromise on speed, as it is also labeled the fastest. Okay, so to recap, it's 50% cheaper than GPT-4 Turbo, and it's also 2 times faster than GPT-4 Turbo. And just like GPT-4, it is multimodal. Multimodal on this occasion means that it accepts text inputs or image inputs or text and image inputs, okay? And outputs text. Currently, the training data, as you can see, is up till October 2023. So if you need to have data that is more recent, you will have to feed that in yourself. Now, I do have a few videos on different ways of adding your own data on my channel, so please do check those out. I'll put in links if you ask me in the comment section below. Okay, so great. That is what GPT-4o is in a nutshell. Now, let's get to using it. So in this video, we're first going to use it for text generation, meaning that we will input text and get a text output back. So pretty simple. For example, put what day is Christmas. And the output might be something like this, for example. Simple, right? We can also feed in a whole chat history to make multi-turn conversations with context easy. What this means is we can take a chat like this, for example. So here we'll see we feed in "you are helpful assistant," and then we mimic asking what is the oldest of all South American capitals. So that's mimicking us. And then we mimic the LLM responding the oldest capital in South America is Quito. So that finally when you ask a question such as "where is that?" it will know what that you are referring to. Okay, so we provided the whole context of the chat, and now questions like "where is that?" will make sense to the LLM. This is opposed to if we just ask "where is that?" without all the previous chat history, the LLM will most likely be like, "what do you mean? Where is what?" Okay? So that's it for text generation. We will next use it with OpenAI's vision capabilities. This means we'll be giving an input of text and an image. So for example, I can put in the text of "what is the creature wearing in this image?" and also input an image of a glamorous octopus with a fancy hat. And then we might get a text output back of "the octopus is wearing a hat." And finally, we will again use it with OpenAI's vision capabilities in order to input multiple images. On this occasion, 2 images, one of a dog and one of a cat, and inputting text alongside the images of what is the difference between these 2 images, and getting a text output of the first picture is of a dog and the second is of a cat, for example. Of course, the exact text output is hard to guess, but you get the idea. We will be learning how to do this with Node.js, but if you want to learn how to pass images from a front end to a back end in app form, for example, once again, I do have a few videos on how to do this on my channel, so please do check them out. Again, just comment if you want these links and I will give them to you. Okay, so what are we waiting for? 4 things to build, let's do it. Okay, so as mentioned, we are going to be doing this tutorial in Node.js. So I'm simply just going to have a Node.js backend for this. As mentioned, if you do want to learn how to do this with front ends built in React or similar, then please do check out my other videos. I think I've got one using Next.js and React as well. So yeah, check those out. But for now, let's do it. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a new project. I'm going to call this Chat GPT-4o tutorial, and all I am doing is creating a directory that lives on a directory on my computer. Okay, so the directory is based on projects that lives on Anya Kubo on my computer. So let's create that, and simply all I've done is create an empty directory. So I'm using WebStorm of course, but if using any other code editor, that is fine too. Just please go ahead and come to the same point. Okay, once you are here, what I'm going to do is make sure I am in the project. Don't forget that, that's an easy step to forget, and just do npm init. Okay, of course, in order to have that command working, you are gonna have to go through a few steps if you've never used npm before. I'll take you through it in a bit. For now, for those of you who do have the npm command, just go through all of these. I'm just hitting enter to get, you know, just a generic package JSON file spun up with all the default settings, okay? So is this okay? Yes, just hit enter for all of those. And now that package JSON file should be spun up with all the default configuration because we just went through all and hit enter for all of those. Okay, great. Now it is going to read an index.js file, which we don't have. So I'm just going to create that file index.js, making sure to give it the JS extension so our code editor knows to treat this as a JavaScript file. Great. So for those of you who didn't have that working, all you need to do is essentially make sure that you have Node installed. So the version of Node that I am using is, I'm just going to clear that, Node V. I am using this version of Node, so please make sure to have the same at the time of recording. So once again, just make sure to visit nodejs.org and download Node.js, or just essentially update your Node version. And then you might also need to head over to download the package manager. So npm is the package manager, and just go through these commands as well so that you can use nvm and npm, okay, in the command line interface. Cool. So for example, if I check my npm version, so I'm going to go back here, we've just checked the Node version, and then here is my npm version as well. It's different to the Node version. Great. So yes, this is the link you need to visit, or this one to download Node.js first. Okay, wonderful. So now that we're all at this point, let's get to it. So we can do something to continuously run the script to read the index.js page. And to do that, well, let's write a script. I'm just going to write a start script here. And I'm just going to make this bigger for you. To constantly listen out for changes on the index.js file, you need a package called nodemon. This will listen out to constant changes. So I'm just going to install it, npm I nodemon, and you should see that in the list of dependencies that will show up in the package JSON file. Okay, so let's just wait a bit, and ta-da, there's nodemon and the version of nodemon that we are using now. I always say this, but the version is important because if you're watching this in future and something does not work because your dependency maybe is an old version, then just change it back to this version that we are using right now. You can easily change it. Just simply, you know, you just installed it and it's 6. Okay, then just change it to 3. Obviously save this file and then do npm I to reinstall all the dependencies in here. Okay, but of course we don't have to do that because the version we are using and the one that we installed is version 3. Okay, if you're not sure which one is installed, you can even check here. So if I go here and then find nodemon, you will see the version, and you also see where we got it from too. Okay, we got it from the npm registry. Okay, that's just some general knowledge that you will find useful as a developer, so keep that in mind. But let's carry on, shall we? So we've got a script. I'm just going to do npm run start, and that should start that script. And now that's constantly listening out to changes on the index.js file. So now let's actually go to the index.js file and let's get to it, right? The first thing we want to use is text generation. So in order to do this, of course, we are using OpenAI. So we're going to install, let's get up our terminal. Once again, I'm just going to make a new tab. Make sure you're in the project and do npm I OpenAI, enter, and you know it. You need to check the version that we are using. For this tutorial, we are using this version of OpenAI, and this changes quite a lot at the moment. So again, if you're watching this future and this doesn't work, make sure you're using the exact same version as I am. That is so important because this is changing so quick in this moment of time that we are in. So this is the version we are using. Make sure it's the same, and let's go back here. And now because we've installed that package, I can now use it in here. So const OpenAI requires the package OpenAI. Okay, so great. We are getting everything that the OpenAI package contains, like methods and properties, and saving it to the const OpenAI so we can use it in our file. Now we're going to get OpenAI now, and we're going to open it up because we need to pass through an OpenAI key in order to have this work. So we're going to have API key, just like that, and there goes our API key. And let's save this as something. We actually have to stick in the word new here as that is a constructor. And let's save this to the const OpenAI like this. Okay, so now we can use everything that this has to offer, like methods and properties, however, with the API key. So now we are authorized essentially. And great, I'm just going to go back to here because we need to check that this is running at all times. So let's get our OpenAI key, shall we? So like we saw, we're going to use GPT-4, which will be a lot cheaper for us. So all I'm going to do is head over to the documentation. So let's head over to openai.com. Let's accept this. And under products, we're going to go to API login and simply log in or sign up if you haven't already. I already have an account, so I'm going to sign in with my Google account. Let's go to API, as we're going to be using the API documentation. And under here, we have API keys. I'm just going to create an API key. So create new secret key. Let's call this test. Default project is fine, and create that key. So this has all the permissions. I'm just going to copy it, and I'm going to make sure to keep it safe. Of course, if someone has found out your API key, that's a bad thing because they're going to use up all your credits maybe. So just go ahead and delete it. Okay, just delete it here and create a new one. So that's all I'm going to do. Let's continue. So let's go back in here. I'm going to stick that in like so. Please don't use mine because I will be disabling this once this tutorial is live, so it won't get you anywhere anyway. But that is the format. Okay, make an object, have API key, and then the value of your API key. Of course, if you're using this in a project you want to deploy, don't keep it like this. Create a process env file where you'll keep this a secret. But you know, if you watch one of my tutorials where I actually create an app that is usable, we will be doing this. I won't be doing this for this tutorial. Process env, you need the .env file in order to hide this in a env file, okay, to keep it secret. Great. So now that we've done that, we're ready to use all the wonderful methods and properties that come with OpenAI, one of them being a method that will help us create chat completions. So let's write a function in order to do this. It's going to be an async function. I'm just going to call this get text, okay, because we're just going to be getting text each time, so that is fine. Function, there we go. And I'm going to call the function down here so we can see what's going on. Now, in order to get the text, we're going to get OpenAI, and like I said, there's methods and properties that come with it. We're going to get chat completions. That is right, making sure to spell it the same way, create, because we're going to create one, and we're going to pass through an object. Of course, this will actually return a promise, so I'm going to stick a wait here because we're going to have to wait for that to resolve. And the response of this, I'm going to save under the const completion, just like so. So there we go. And what does this object have to have? Well, it's going to have a message or messages. I'm going to show you the format messages take. It's going to be an array that's going to have lots of different objects. So each object represents one message. And then we're also going to have to pass through the model. So put a comma here and put model. And as we know, we're going to be using GPT-4o. Okay, maybe let's just make this smaller so we can see the whole function here. Okay, so we've got the messages, we've got the model, and each message is going to have a role and also going to have content. Now, we essentially need to first kind of tell the system. So we're going to pretend to be the system. We're going to feed in the string of you are a helpful assistant. Okay, so we're kind of setting the tone of what we want the LLM to act like. And then, once again, we're going to have role and content. And as the role this time, you're acting as yourself, so the user, so as if you were kind of typing on the ChatGPT app, right? So you're the user. And let's put what day is Christmas, for example. Okay, so we've got our messages. Once again, this is one message, this is one message. We've got our model. So now let's grab the completion. So I'm just going to grab it and console log it out here. Console log completion. And if I do this, this is actually going to come back with a whole complicated objects. I'm just going to show you. So here we go. Here is the object. It's got an ID of the completion, got the model, and then you have choices, which is an array. So we're going to go into the choices. Like I said, it's an array. So we're going to get the first item, and then we're going to get the message from it, which is an object. So dot message. And if we hit enter and run that again, ta-da, we get an object, which looks very similar to our message object here. So we have the role and the content. Now, to get just the text, you would do .content. However, if you are building an app, a chat completion app, for example, you want to save these and you want to know who wrote it. Was it the user or the assistant? I'd probably suggest saving the whole object. However, for this tutorial, I'm just going to show you. We just want the text, then we can just get the text. And the text is, Christmas is celebrated on December 25th each year. So great, that's how you would build a simple, app where you ask a question and you get a response. And if you want to feed in more context, so for example, like I did in the intro, we can have, maybe let's build out the same thing. So let's keep the system role. Let's keep the content of telling it to act like a helpful assistant. I'm going to get rid of this one right here. Let's pretend we've previously asked what is the oldest all South American capitals. And then once again, then we have, let's pretend that the assistant replied to us and wrote back the oldest capital in South America is Quinto. And then we asked again, so I'm just going to copy this one more time. User, and our final question, which we want a response to, is where is that? And of course, if we just fed in where is that, the LM would be really confused about what you're asking. But because we have all of this chat history, it should know the answer to this based on all of that. Just make sure to spell it correctly. And the answer that we get back is, Quito is the capital city of Ecuador. It is located in the Andes Mountains. And that gives us a bunch more information about Ecuador too. So it's being super helpful. Great, that is looking good. We've just essentially built a multimodal chat. Okay, once again, if you want to know how to use this in an actual project where you store all the chat history, then do please check out videos about this on my channel. That is the whole function for you right there. Great, let's move on. Okay, now let's work on actually inputting images with text. So let's start again. So here is my function get text, because we will be getting a text output, and let's input some text and an image. So let's start off with just one image, and then we'll show you how to do more than one image later. So once again, we use await OpenAI, and this time we're going to do chat completions create. Let's open it up and let's pass through an object. And this time, once again, let's put in the model. So GPT-4o, that is correct. The messages, however, this time are going to be a bit more complicated. So messages, here we go. Let's open up the array. This is one message. It's going to have a role. I'm going to put user. And as the content this time, we're not going to just put a string. Nope, we're going to actually put through an array. We're going to pass through another object. We're going to pass through the type of text. And the text is going to be, what is the creature wearing? So just like that. Just make it a little bit smaller for you. And then let's put in another object. This time it's going to be type image URL. So type image URL. And then the image URL is going to be another object. We will have the URL. Now, again, you probably want to learn how to create an app that takes this from the front end, saves it to the back end. I do have loads of videos on this, so please do check them out. For this simple demo, however, I'm just going to use an image from the internet. Okay, here is the image that I am going to use. I'm just going to copy that URL and paste it like so. So there is the full thing. And let's save this under completion. So const completions, just like so. once again, let's grab this. Make sure there's a comma there. And right after this here, so let's just console log completions, and then I'm going to go into choices this time and just get that first choice. Okay, so if we look in here, we should get this whole object. So once again, this is the whole object. We should go into the message, so dot messages. We can get the first message, and this time just get the content. So there we go. If we go down here, you will see that just the text comes back to us. So here we go. The creature is wearing a black top hat. This is looking great. Amazing. So once again, this is the final code. There is the whole function. You will see everything that we've passed through. Please pause here and copy it if you need. I'm just going to move over slightly so you can see. Please take this really slow, but yeah, essentially this should work at the time of recording anyway, because like I said, this really changes so much. As long as you have the correct version here, it should be compatible with my code. Great, now let's work on feeding in multiple images. Okay, so now let's work on uploading multiple images. So once again, we use, OpenAI. Let's use chat completions, just like so. Create, and let's pass through the object again. We can say this whatever you want. I'm just going to save it as completions. Okay, and then what do we pass through the object? Well, of course, we're going to have messages, just like so. This is going to be an array, and then we have the model, which as we know is GPT-4o. And in the messages, we're going to have to pass through an object. Of course, the first object is going to have a role and content. This content is going to be an array. As the role, I'm going to put user. And as the content, well, I'm going to, once again, put type text and then the actual text. What is the difference between the two images? Question mark. So there we go, and then a comma. And the next type is going to be an image URL, image URL. And this time we're going to pass through the image URL, which is an object. So maybe let's put this on a new line so you can see everything. So type URL, image URL, and then the URL for this is going to be, as we discussed, a cat. So we'll put that in a bit, because we're also going to have one more. Okay, so there's one image. So let's do comma and put in the second image like so. Okay, and then let's save, and then let's console log out the completions down here. So right after we put in the model, console log completions. Let's go into the choices and get the first choice. Cool, so now let's put in the image of the cat and dog. Here is my URL of a cat. Of course, feel free to use whatever URL you wish. So here we go, that is the full thing. And here is the URL of my picture of a dog. Okay, so once again, just get that whole URL, paste it in like so. If you're wondering how I'm getting these, it's really simple. Just do dog Wikipedia or something, and then click on here. And then to get the URL, just find a picture of a dog. So for example, maybe this one right here, and then get the image address. So copy image address. And if I just paste it like so, here is the whole URL. So that's just all I've done. Okay, so now we've got an image of a cat and a dog. Let's have a look here. So that is the whole object, and the assistant says the two images depict different animals. The first image shows a cat with a black background. The second image shows a puppy with a light colored background. So great. It also has some more information here. Additionally, the cat has mostly white and grey fur patterns, while the puppy is predominantly black coat and brown and white markings. So a lot of information there. Again, to just get the text, you'll go into the message, use dot notation, and then get the content, or you can pass through the whole object if you need back to your front end or whatever you wish to do with it. So wonderful. Once again, that is the full code. There we go. I appreciate it's quite big. So there we go. I'm kind of moving it around so you can see the full thing. Please pause. If you have any questions, do comment in the video description below. Once again, if you want to use these in actual projects with apps, I do have plenty of these on my channel where you can input the images and it will give you text information back. So check it out and let me know what you think.